How to stay sharp after 80. Have you ever seen the confused look of an 85-year-old who no longer remembers their own child? I have. It was an elderly woman living in Nebraska. Every time her daughter visited, she'd ask, "Who are you?" Not because she hated anyone or because her mind was completely gone, but because her memory had quietly slipped away like a guest who left without saying goodbye. And in that moment, I truly understood the greatest pain of aging isn't losing strength, it's losing yourself. You're still alive. You eat, walk, smile, and talk, but you no longer recognize the face in the mirror. You forget the street you used to walk every day. You forget the voice that was once your world. And when you don't know who you are anymore, your past fades with you. That's why many people fear aging more than death itself. I've worked with hundreds of people over 80, some still sharp, some slowly fading. And I kept asking myself, what makes the difference? It's not genetics. It's not supplements. It's how they live each day. Small things, repeated things. But they quietly nourish mental clarity like water to a tree. So if you or someone you love has reached 80, take a few minutes and listen to this podcast. I'll walk you through habits that may seem simple, but are powerful shields protecting your mind. Share this episode with someone you love because clarity is the greatest gift of growing old. Now let's go deeper. What does it really mean to be sharp, and why it's not just about memory? Clarity is more than memory. Many people think being mentally sharp means remembering things, your grandkids' names, what you had for lunch, what day it is. But that's too shallow a view. Real clarity goes much deeper. It's not just memory, it's a sense of inner aliveness. I once visited a 90-year-old man in rural Oregon. He couldn't remember the name of his doctor, but when I asked him, "What makes life meaningful to you now?" he paused for a moment, then smiled. I think hearing the birds sing each morning is a good enough reason to wake up. That's when I realized mental clarity isn't about remembering facts, it's about inner depth. A sharp mind knows how it feels. Sad, joyful, lonely, grateful, they don't deny those emotions. They feel them. They live with them, not just react to them. They might tear up at an old song or quietly smile at a story from long ago. Clarity also means knowing why you're still living. A man in San Diego once told me, "Each morning I do a few stretches so I won't be a burden to my daughter." That's my goal. It's not grand. He's not chasing achievements. He simply understands who he's living for and what for. And that's what gives the mind a direction to move toward instead of drifting in confusion. And then mental clarity is also the ability to think and choose. Not choosing what to eat, but choosing your attitude. You might forget what you had for breakfast, but still be able to say, "Today I choose to forgive. Today I choose to be patient." If you can still make those kinds of choices, your mind is very much alive. I'm not saying this to make you feel bad if you've been forgetful. On the contrary, I want you to know being 80 doesn't mean you lose clarity if you actively nurture it. It's like a garden. If you're still watering it, still tending to it, then the tree of wisdom can still thrive. In fact, it might even grow deeper and more peaceful than when you were young. One of my patients, 87-year-old Ruth, once said something beautiful. "I used to be quick, but now I'm clear." That line touched me deeply, because it shows that clarity isn't about speed, it's about depth. It's not how fast you react, but how well you understand your life. And you absolutely can keep that so long as you don't stop living truthfully. So if clarity is something we can nurture, what exactly feeds it? I like to call these next three things the three pillars that keep the mind from aging even as the body begins to slow down. And the best part is, you don't have to do them all at once. Just start with one and watch it ripple like light in a dark room. Pillar 1. Habits that challenge your brain. Many people after 80 say, "My brain's too old, I can't learn anymore." But in truth, your brain doesn't need to learn a lot. It just needs to be challenged a little each day. Read a genre you're not used to. Try a biography instead of a novel. Learn a few words in Spanish or Italian not to use, but to spark your brain like a puzzle. I know an 85-year-old man who spends 10 minutes each morning practicing harmonica. He says, "Every time I hit the wrong note, I know my brain's still learning." Even one small brain-stimulating activity a day, a crossword, a short journal entry, keeps your neurons from rusting. Pillar 2. Staying socially connected. Many studies show loneliness increases the risk of cognitive decline even faster than diabetes. Why? Because when we stop talking and sharing, the brain has no reason to turn on. I once met a 90-year-old woman in Georgia who called her college-aged granddaughter every day to chat for 5 minutes. She didn't care what they talked about, she just needed someone to ask, "Have you eaten yet?" and laugh a little. Laughter is brain exercise. So is a friendly debate, not to win, but to make your brain think in different ways. A tea with neighbors, a call to an old friend. Those are more than emotional connections. They're mental vitamins. And finally, having a proactive, purposeful attitude. This is the least discussed pillar, but it's the most important. An old man once told me I wake up early not because I'm strong, but because I need to water my tomato plants. That's purpose. When you know what you're doing and why, even if it's just tending orchids, helping your grandchild with math, or writing your memoirs, your brain has an anchor. Maybe you can't walk far anymore, but you can still write a letter. Maybe you can't remember what movie you watched yesterday, but you can still plant seeds in your front yard. A purposeful life doesn't have to be big, just something small each day that gives you a reason to wake up and see. These 3 things, challenging your brain, staying socially connected, and living with purpose, are all things you can start today. No pills, no hospitals, no going back to school, just a bit of effort and a little faith that 80 isn't the end. It might just be the most profound chapter. If anything I've shared resonates with you, hit subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. And don't keep this to yourself. Share the podcast with your partner, your old friend, or that neighbor who could use a little hope. Up next, we'll dive into something that sounds simple but deeply affects your clarity: sleep, and why sleep in old age isn't as easy as many think. The thieves of mental clarity. There are times when we try our best to keep our minds sharp, reading books, exercising, chatting with the grandchildren, but we overlook the quiet thieves that slowly steal our clarity little by little. They're not loud, not obvious, but if we let them linger too long, they can dull the mind like fog dimming the morning sun. One of the most common thieves is chronic lack of sleep. After 80, many people believe just a few hours is enough. But sleep isn't just rest. It's when the brain cleans up messy memories and strengthens memory connections. Without regular quality sleep, the brain becomes a cluttered room that's never tidied up. Eventually, it's hard to focus, hard to remember, and you feel mentally frozen. Another more silent thief is loneliness and low-grade depression. I once met an 87-year-old man living in a beautiful, well-equipped nursing home but rarely visited. He began to forget dates, lost interest in meals and books. What wore him down wasn't age, but the absence of heartfelt conversations. Loneliness doesn't kill memory overnight. It slowly erodes it week by week, month by month. Third, the overuse of sleep aids and tranquilizers. Many older adults struggle with sleep or anxiety and turn to medication. But some drugs, especially benzodiazepines when used long-term, can slow reaction times, reduce memory, and create a mental fog. Always ask your doctor about long-term side effects, and when possible, seek more natural ways to sleep. Lastly, a sedentary lifestyle and lack of sunlight. Did you know sunlight doesn't just strengthen bones? It also brightens the mind. A gentle morning walk in the yard, looking at the trees, breathing fresh air, can feel like a reset for your brain. In contrast, sitting all day indoors with little movement is like letting your mind wither on the shelf. So if you're working to stay mentally sharp, don't just ask, "What should I do?" Also ask, "What might be quietly taking away my clarity?" Sometimes stopping one small harmful habit can preserve an entire treasure of memory. In our final section, I'll offer some simple, heartwarming ways for you or your loved ones to stay fully yourself, even after 80. If you found this podcast helpful, don't forget to share it with someone you love and hit subscribe to keep walking this journey with us. Let me tell you a true story about Tom, who's now 88 years old. He lives alone in a small house in the suburbs. His wife passed away more than 10 years ago, yet he still remembers every detail of that day. The weather, the song on the radio, and the last smile she gave him before closing her eyes. Many people assume that by that age, memory must fade. But Tom is different. He doesn't just remember the day she died. He remembers their wedding, the birthdays of all his grandkids, even the first time she held his hand in the park. When I asked how he keeps his memory so sharp, he just smiled and said, "I don't try to remember. I just live in a way that makes every day worth remembering." At first, it sounds simple, but when you see how he lives, it's deeply profound. Every morning, he wakes up early. First thing, he brews a cup of tea, then opens the back door to feed his doves. Birds he's cared for over 40 years. Then he sits at an old wooden table, pulls out a notebook, and writes. Some days, just a few lines, "The sun is gentle today. A baby dove grew its first tail feather." Or how he remembered his wife laughing this morning while telling an old story. Nothing dramatic, nothing noteworthy by the usual definition. But it's those small, repeated acts done with care that keep his mind clear. He once told me, "I'm not afraid of getting old. I'm just afraid of living without anything left to feel." You see, clarity isn't just about recalling names or numbers. It's about how you observe life, cherish each moment, and live with purpose every day. Tom doesn't fight aging. He lives alongside it calmly and consciously. And I believe if he can do that past 80, then so can we, no matter our age. Turning 80 isn't the end of clarity. It's a bend in the road where you can choose to live slower but deeper. I know there are days you forget where your keys are or call your grandchild by the wrong name. That doesn't mean you're fading. It's just a reminder that memory, like a muscle, needs care training and love. Clarity isn't a gift only for the lucky. It's a flame, and you are the keeper. Each day, even just 5 minutes of journaling a favorite song or a short walk in the sun, these are your ways to light it back up. Don't be afraid of aging dulling your light, because true brightness doesn't come from perfect memory. It comes from being awake and alive in every moment you can still feel the world. I'm Dr. Sam Wells. Thank you for spending time reflecting with me today. Hit subscribe to stay connected with Wellness Unfolds, where we explore how to age with depth and meaning. And in the next episode, I'll share something fascinating: how music can slow cognitive decline. See you soon.